The Rams get blasted in Dallas while the Chargers avoid falling into the abyss. The Lakers struggle with consistency in their rotation, and UCLA, they're not perfect, but they are climbing in the rankings. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the Faithful Angelinos Morning Report. And boy, is it morning. It's very crisp out here in Salt Lake City. I'll be on my way to the airport in just a moment to fly home to the wife and stare at her until she gets profoundly uncomfortable. It is October 29th, 2023, and if you like being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that to let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist, and by all means comment, because it's always good when you're talking LA sports. Shout out to the latest person who says I have a terrific radio voice. And yes, that's because I am as phony as every other radio personality. You've been warned. Before we go through the news and notes, we're going to take a look at the scoreboard. Sean McVay called it a good, humbling day for us. Translation, the Rams got their asses kicked. Not happy to report it, not a fan of the Cowboys, love the Rams, Dallas 43, Rams 20. This is the type of game that actually makes people believe in Dak Prescott, but don't worry, that'll change as soon as next week. Also, the Chargers behind Justin Herbert's 3 touchdowns and 298 passing yards beat the daylights out of Chicago 30-13. Anthony Davis scores 30 points. LeBron James adds 27. And the Lakers ran out of gas in overtime. Sacramento in overtime, 132. Lakers 127. The Clippers, they wind up facing San Antonio, and they wind up stomping San Antonio, 123-83. Kawhi Leonard with 21 points. Paul George with 19. Clippers are 2-1. Meanwhile, tonight, out at Crypto.com, Orlando is going to be in town to face the Lakers at 7:30. You know, the Magic are undefeated. Granted, it's 2-0, but it's undefeated nevertheless. So what do you say we get to the news? Matthew Stafford's homecoming. He is a Texan. Couldn't have gone much worse. He threw a pick 6. He even left the game with an injured thumb after catching a 2-point conversion pass. Why would you do it when you're behind that many points? Why would you risk injury? Gotta ask, by laying out and forcing yourself to get a 2-point conversion throw. Brett Rippon replaced him, completed 5 of 10 passes for 42 yards, which quite frankly is trash. I hate to say it. You're supposed to average somewhere like 7 to 8 yards an attempt. Rippon barely made half of that, right? So if Stafford isn't good to go next week, when the Rams are going up to Green Bay, this is going to be a major problem. Sean McVay said he didn't know if Stafford will be missing time. But if it does, you could literally say that the Rams season is over now. Look, they're 2 games under 500. It is extremely difficult to win the second game of back-to-back road games in the NFL. And they are over in Lambeau Field. So it doesn't matter if Chris Berman and his 90,000-year-old tired references calls it the frozen tundra. Even if it's not frozen, it's going to be a tough call. So right now, I'm not saying if you're a Rams fan that you panic. But if you're a Rams fan and they lose next week, as I am, you might want to amuse yourself by starting to look at mock drafts. Just saying. Puka Nacua has the most receptions of anyone through the first 8 games in his career, by the way. He has 59. He is accounted, by the way, for more than 40% of the Rams' receiving yards this year. He's absolutely building a case for Rookie of the Year. And by the way, they're trying to call it a record of most catches through 8 games in the career. That is the literal definition of a bad stat. Whoever has to sit there and judge everybody's stats after 6 games, 7 games, 8 games, you, sir, have a terrible part-time job, and you might want to consider something more productive to society, like cleaning poopers. Just saying. But the Rams, it's not all bad news. We mentioned Nacua having a great start to his rookie year, and they also may have solved their kicking problem Lucas Havrisik, he converted both field goal attempts. So possibly a problem solved there. Meanwhile, over at SoFi on Sunday Night Football, we had been wondering if Brandon Staley's defensive acumen would ever show up with the Chargers. Would it ever happen? Well, Sunday, the Bolts defense only allowed one touchdown for most of the game. They did allow one later. They picked off a couple of passes. Chicago could only muster 2.9 yards per carry. If you recall, last year, the Chargers couldn't stop anyone in the running game. But let's be honest with ourselves. That's a terrific game. And a win is a win. Can't deny that. It was against the Chicago Bears. Let's be honest. Do the Chicago Bears have anything on offense that even remotely scares anybody other than the Las Vegas Raiders right now? So I don't want to poop too much on that game. I really don't. I'm just saying you want a little bit more consistency because they avoided the abyss. Had they lost that game, they would have been 2-5. Instead, they're basically on the periphery of the playoffs where you kind of want to take them seriously, but you really know you can't yet. One other NFL note for both the Rams and the Chargers, and technically it is a non-note. The trade deadline in the NFL is 1 p.m. Tuesday. And I've been keeping tabs, going through every trustworthy outlet, and I have yet to find anything saying that the Rams or Chargers are going to be making a deal in advance of that deadline. So, probably a boring week for both teams. I think it is way too early to start complaining about the Lakers. I do. Yes, they're 1-2. And by the way, the loss to Denver, it didn't look that good. Can't lie. But the other loss was in overtime on the road. So what are we talking about here? The problem with the Lakers is that they are one of those teams that is either loved or hated. Nobody has a middle ground on the Lakers. Literally like the Dallas Cowboys. You either adore them or you can't stand them. Nobody is ambivalent about the Cowboys. Nobody's ambivalent about the Yankees or the Dodgers. Nobody's ambivalent about the Lakers. So when they are 1-2, everybody already is looking for a scapegoat. Even though the season isn't 1/20th of the way through. And the first target that some people online are choosing is Austin Reeves, who has not gotten off to this great start that you would expect somebody who is the third option on offense. For example, in Sacramento, he shot 1 of 12. 1 of 12. And by the way, he was benched in overtime. Now, this is silly to blame a 1-2 start on one man. 3 games, 1 guy. Sorry, I can't go there. Now, Darvin Ham told the LA Times that there's actually something else that's afoot that he needs to resolve. All of these new players that have come into the Lakers since the trade deadline and including the offseason, they're good. They need minutes. So how do you fit that? There are rotation issues. Quote, "That is definitely the main thing that's on my mind," unquote. That's what Darvin Ham said. This matters in a number of ways. You recall, the idea was to limit LeBron James to 30 minutes per game. Maybe a minute or two more. But last night, the guy wound up playing 39. And of course, the Lakers are playing again tonight. So did you really want to go that far over the 30-minute threshold when you're again playing on back-to-back nights? And it's not just LeBron James. Cam Reddish started off the year, got about 17 minutes. It's been diminishing over the last few games. Where does Jackson Higgs fit in? Where does Rui Hachimura fit in, for Pete's sakes? And Jared Vanderbilt has missed every game this season so far. What happens when he comes back? He was a starter last year. So there are issues that Ham needs to solve. And the plus side is he's aware of it. And he's not a stupid man. UCLA has climbed to 20th in the latest AP rankings, but Chip Kelly still has a bone to pick with his offense. Did you watch the game as I did? I was just enthralled by their defense. But the offense did not help out itself, or for that matter, the defense. The offense committed 4 turnovers alone in the first half. It was the defense that rescued them. We talked about all the sacks that they had in yesterday's clip. The defense kept the Bruins from falling behind. Despite the 4 turnovers in the first half, the Bruins still led 7-6. And looking at the quotes from Chip Kelly after the game, I would wager that Chip Kelly was about to lose his mind in rage. I was reading the quotes. He's like talking about things like the square root of this equals that, pi equals this. And if I'm a scribe in the locker room, I'm sitting there looking at my comrades going, what the hell is Chip Kelly talking about? He's trying to like reason away these 4 turnovers, and he sounds like he's a geometry teacher trying to bust out Pythagorean theorem on you. When the hell does that have anything to do with the turnover margin? I mean, the bottom line is this. Dante Moore created turnovers, but those ones were even more damaging because they were turned into points for the other team. Ultimately, the Bruins are trying to figure out consistency on offense. At least Ethan Garbers knows the playbook better. And again, I do make the argument that despite the ineptitude on offense, the defense is what makes watching football sane and comfortable on a Saturday afternoon. It wasn't all bad for the Bruins offense, by the way. TJ Harden has 5 touchdowns this year, along with 466 rushing yards. We were all sitting there just waiting for Carson Steele to blow up, and I'm not saying he stinks, but at least you have a backup that you have no problem putting into the game at any given moment in TJ Harden. USC, by the way, held on to its 24th ranking in the AP. That's low, obviously, but there is good news on the horizon, the long distance horizon, but good news nevertheless. Quarterback Brendan Lockhart of Loyola Los Angeles has committed to the Trojans. He said that his mom had graduated from USC. The school has always been important to him. He always wanted to go. He is considered the top player in the state of California for the class of 2026. So there's that. Good with bad. It's good in that it's almost like your parents, if you're poor, like I was, putting your birthday gift on layaway 4 years from now. Like you're really gonna want, like, I don't know, a Teddy Ruxpin, a Tickle Me Elmo when you're in junior high, right? Just saying, guys, just saying. But when that time comes, that's when you're going to wind up loving having that new cornerback, hopefully coached by somebody who's not Alex Grinch. There is a report claiming that the Clippers offered Terrence Mann to the Portland Trail Blazers for Jrue Holiday, to which I say, F that. F that. We always hear about trades that never happen. Have you ever noticed that in the NBA? We always hear hot rumors and you get all excited and it's about a trade that didn't happen. Why are you telling me this? Why? That is literally like saying, dude, I'm gonna go sleep with a Laker girl, but she said no. Why would you do that? Why would you start off a story saying it's gonna be great and then just basically take that needle and pop the balloon? Scribes, guys, I swear, anything for content, anything for clickbait. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me about where you think the Rams and Chargers stand, even though they're both 500. Which one has the better playoff shot? Talk to me about, say, the Lakers and what you would do to solve the rotation problems, or for that matter, the fact that UCLA is steady Eddie, making a nice climb up the rankings. And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelinos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelinos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.